From Wacko Chaco Studio, I am Ashwin Chaco, and this is the Fruitful Life Show, a show about the business of creativity and the stories behind the creators that have made their dreams a reality. Hey folks, welcome to the Fruitful Life. June Mineyama Smithson of the Mamimu Studio. June, welcome to the show.
Hey Ashwin. Hey Ashwin, how are you doing?
Good, great. Please, June, for our audience, introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. I am June Mineyama Smithson, goes by the name Mamimu for my artist activity. So I'm an artist, graphic designer, and also currently lecturer at London College of Communication.
Oh, amazing. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of your story, my icebreaker question is, if you were a fruit, what fruit would you be?
Oh my gosh. If I were a fruit, I would be an apple.
Okay.
Because my mission is to spread optimism, and a kind of everyday apple can bring joy to everyone from the get-go. So yes, I'm an apple.
I love that answer. That's amazing. So tell me a little bit more about you. When you were a kid, what were you like? Were you creative? Were you drawing? I mean, what took you down the path you are on today?
Yeah, I think I was always drawing in the kindergarten environment. I was always drawing either like Hello Kitty or My Melody, which is the bunny version of Hello Kitty, or geometric shapes. And I was so keen to finish my drawing book, so I was just always drawing so that I can get onto the new one.
Oh, brilliant.
I think my mum's side of family is quite creative. My grandfather was a calligrapher, and my uncles both screen printers. I was always surrounded by lovely creativity. But although my mum wasn't an artist or creative in occupation, but she was always doing creative stuff like sewing and making stuff.
Yeah. I'm curious, you grew up in Japan, right?
Yeah, Tokyo, yeah.
Yeah. And so normally there's a stigma attached to art, especially in Asian countries. I know it's in India and a lot of other Asian countries. So I'm curious how that played out for you, because obviously the stigma is there, but your mom's creative. So finishing school, were you like, I want to do art? And like, what was the reaction and how did that all come through?
And that's a really, really great question. And that's why I didn't get to creative industry straight away.
Yeah.
My path is unusual because when I graduated high school, I thought if I were to go to art school, I'd be narrowing my path.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, I chose to study English language, not just English speaking language school, but English language as a subject of study, so linguistics and phonetics and so on. And I enjoyed it, and the environment was really quite international. The college was founded by Portuguese missionary, and we had Sister Conception. She was American phonetics teacher. We had Father Barry as the dean, and there were Swiss teachers, Spanish Sister Coltis was teaching us Spanish as well. So a very international environment. And after graduated, I thought I should get a proper job. I got office job in an airline company with the whole uniform and everything. And I was there for like a few years, but yeah, I got bored quickly. as you can imagine.
Yeah.
That's when I found out about this evening courses to study design and learning Photoshop, Illustrator, and other graphic design skills. And then I became web designer.
Were you just like moonlighting
Yeah.
as a web designer while you were still doing your corporate job, or you just
No, I quit.
Okay.
quit, and one day I said, "Okay, I'm a web designer now, not this airline person anymore."
Okay. Wow, that's very brave.
Yes, winging it
And
always
so this was all while you were still in Tokyo.
in Tokyo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you became you said, okay, I'm a web designer. What happened next?
Oh yes. Then when I was working as a web designer, I gradually realized that web design is just a small section of wide graphic design, and I thought, in order to understand this industry, I need to study graphic design properly.
Okay.
That's when I decided to study in London. Oh, but before that, actually, I went to the US, Fort Lauderdale, to observe a class in the university I was thinking about going. But that class they showed me was rubbish.
Okay.
So without much research, I decided to study in London, because at that time whole YBA art scene was flourishing, and I thought this place looks fun. So that's how I ended up in London.
And so then you graduated and you started your own studio? Was that the next move, or no?
Never. When I graduated, I got a job in a boutique agency and worked a few years there, and that agency folded up.
Oh no.
So I got another, but that's kind of blessing in disguise, because
Yeah.
then I got another job in bigger agency, and by that time I built my portfolio and confidence. So yeah, I always believe that things happen for reasons. Um, then I became a freelancer, and that was another good thing to happen. Good thing happened, because then I was able to learn on the job very quickly, parachute in on the job. So I had to learn to work efficiently and pretend that I know what I'm doing. But because I was learning really quick, so for the next assignment, I could do more, and got into better agencies, and just rinse and repeat. So
Right.
that's how I cut my teeth.
And so when was the start of Mamimu Studio?
Good question. When I was when I was working at the second boutique agency full time, although I loved the job, I needed somewhere to let my creative steam out, because in client job, it's not always your style or what your ethos. In agency life, you're fulfilling clients' needs and
Yeah.
markets' needs. But I think in a way I was trying to force my ethos and what I want to do into client's job. And of course my boss was frustrated, the client was frustrated, and I was frustrated.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, this is not working.
I think that's a battle all creatives go through at some point, that juxtaposition of,
Yeah.
sharing your ideology, your
Mm.
things that you're passionate about, but at the same time, when you're
Mhm.
working within the corporate world, it's okay,
Yeah.
you need to fulfill the client's
Mm.
needs and
Mhm.
wants, and like, how do you find that balance of adding your personality but also fulfilling
Absolutely.
the brief,
Yeah.
as it were.
Yeah. So it was a healthy thing that I started to separate them and realize that I shouldn't mix them up too much. I mean, of course, you should play with your strength in your full time job or whatever the agency assignment. But yeah, I shouldn't have forced that into. I shouldn't force my things into corporate life. So that's how Mummy started. Long-winded answer.
Well, that's an important step. And so then how did you go about building your uh, clientele, as it were, and shifting or attracting the right clients for you and your ethos and your ideology behind your work?
Mm. Um, so with Mummy Moo at start, I started Mummy Moo a bit more seriously when I lived in Hong Kong. Um, and I started with a range of tote bags, laptop tote bags with my pattern on. And at first, I was focusing on just selling bags, but without much knowledge in like e-commerce or retail environment. It was really quite difficult, but I know that the product is really good. I consulted to product designers and I did loads of research. Um, I found the best factory that ship bags to top Japanese department stores and so on. So yeah, I knew the product was good, um, and I struggled a little bit. And eventually, when I get back to London, I found a business mentor from British Library, and she said, rather than try to sell your bag, sell yourself. you you as a person
Hmm.
have got so much to offer, so tell your story. And that's how I started to form my optimism ethos. And yeah, I just started to tell my story and why I wanted to spread optimism through my design. Really, it was very increment steps.
Yeah, so
But
tell
yeah,
me
yeah,
a little bit
yeah.
more about that optimistic drive behind it. Like what created it? What pulled you towards it? What are your thoughts behind your optimistic approach to your work?
Mm. Um, it goes back to my childhood, really, in Tokyo. My favorite thing to do as a 5 years old girl was going to the nearby bus stop and said hi or konnichiwa to everyone who were getting off the bus. And some people said konnichiwa back, and some people didn't. But when I get some people reply to me with big smile, um, mirroring my smile, I had like big rush, and um, it was powerful realization that even just as a little girl,
Mm,
I have the power to delight someone. I have the power to make someone smile. That stuck with me, and yeah, fast forward 20 years or whatever. Um, I thought I could do that with my design. I always liked bright colors, kind of inspired by kimono design. And I think also optimism in pandemic we all experienced is really important. My definition of optimism is not just a kind of happy, lofty idea, but it's rather the belief that you can get to a better place.
mm,
So even if you're not in the ideal place right now, optimism is the hope, belief that you can get to the other side. And that is the message I really want to spread, because life isn't always easy and fun and happy, but it can be
that's so
in the
true.
future.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I think people always confuse optimism with, this consistent happiness that never
Mm.
ends.
Mm.
But
Mm.
in reality, it's actually like the shifting of perspective and saying,
Mm.
okay, I
Mm.
can't control my circumstances right now. This is not within my control, but I can control my attitude towards it and how I want
Absolutely.
to move forward so that I can have that better hope, that better future that I can look towards, which is
Mm.
super exciting to hear. I think we have a very similar ethos to
Yes.
optimism.
Yeah. Yeah. But the power of mind is really important.
Yeah.
You can just kind of you can just stay in that place and kind of almost intoxicated with this sorrow, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
optimism requires energy.
Mm,
Yeah, you have to pick yourself up. So it requires energy more than just staying in that place. In Japanese, we say um, soaking in the lukewarm water. In lukewarm water, it's kind of comfortable but not great.
yeah.
So it's just not a great place to be. But yeah, if you choose to, you can be there. But you can also choose to push yourself
Mm.
and get to the better place.
That's so important. And speaking of like, the power of mental or your ability to move out of it,
Mm.
tell me a little bit about your relationship to failure. How does failure work into your work? How do you react to it, and what's your ethos around it?
I mean, of course, I never like it, but but it's always an opportunity to learn. And I just consider the failure, rejection, being ghosted, whatever, every one of those are making space for better opportunity. So things are flowing, always flowing. And as I believe that there's a chance for success for everyone. It's not like university entry, there's like limited places.
Yeah.
So everyone, there's room for success for everyone. So yeah, just move on for
So
better opportunity.
an abundance of opportunities are there, and failure makes way for that new opportunity to present itself. I like
Yeah,
that.
I really believe that. I really believe that because opportunities are not limited. So someone's success don't rob your success.
Yeah.
We can all be successful.
Also, with failure, what is your relationship with it within your work scenario? What does your process look like? How often do you fail for the product to come out perfect to your liking,
if, if you consider the process as failure,
Yeah.
I always fail in my process, in my creative process.
Yeah.
Like first few sketches are just rubbish, completely rubbish, and it's not for public consumption. But without making rubbish, I can't get to the next stage. So it's just part of the process. I'm just thinking this is rubbish, but it's part of the process. Without this, I can't get through to the next stage.
A lot of young designers feel like they have to get it right the first time, and just accepting the fact that, okay, I'm going to fail several times before I get to the product or the thing that is going to make the most impact, means that there is, like, creativity requires iteration and
Yes,
exploration.
definitely. Yeah, that's important to accept that. I also love the Elizabeth Gilbert's TED talk about genius. Have you
I
seen
don't think
it?
I've heard that one. No.
Okay, so in ancient Greek time, people believed that genius isn't a person, but it's a spirit that come and help your creativity. So it, her idea is that if you work hard, the genius will come and visit you, and gives you basically it's inspiration,
Yeah.
and it gives you the strength to get through the creative process. So I guess it's trusting the process,
Mm.
and yeah, she even goes on to say, to complaining or having a chat with your genius, saying, "I'm working hard here. Do, do your part." In creative
Yeah.
process, you can have fun like that.
Yeah.
To make adversity um, more fun.
Yeah, I think there's really something about being able to accept the fact that that is going to be a reality, and then you can poke fun at it. You can,
Mhm.
make the best of the situation, and then obviously, when you're in a good space, a good attitude, it's more likely that you are going to find that solution,
Yeah.
because your openness is high and it's large.
Yeah. Mhm.
Whereas when you're in a place of, nothing's working, it's also difficult, you tend to
Mhm.
close yourself off, and so the possibilities become smaller and harder to find.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I tell my students that you sometimes just snap out of it and just go out, or do something else, take a shower.
Yeah, that's true. Tell me a little bit more about collaboration, because I think creative process and collaboration, they're like knit together, and your work
Mm,
seems to have a lot of collaboration. You do a lot of collabs with brands now,
mm.
moving from that place where you were at odds with brands
Yeah.
because it wasn't the right client for you, to now working seamlessly to produce great work together.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I love collaboration. I think the good collaboration is where you work with someone from like different area and get the best out of both world. Yeah, for example, oh gosh, there are so many favorite um, collaborations I've done so far. My ITV collaboration with Dr. Tara Swart, she's an amazing neuroscientist, and we created ITV Ident together, that induces happy hormone in our brain for every viewing. So that was real fun, and I asked her lots of questions like why do we like baby animals, or cute stuff like kawaii stuff, or why Tetris so satisfying, why do we like sunlight and so on. And she said it's all down to happy hormones in our brain. She had this fantastic acronym called DOSE, so DOSE, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. And if we can find a way to induce these hormones with visual and how the visual behaves with sound, we can make people happy from brain onwards. So that was really fun, and it's just really amazing person to work with. Yeah, another collaboration is with Danny Molyneux, my fellow graphic designer, my design comrade, my co-mentor. Although we're both graphic designers, she's more kind of type orientated designer. I am more kind of pattern um, person. So that collaboration was really fun, and we talked about creative jealousy, and we each brought some tips when we feel jealous of other people's work. But it's I think it's a natural thing
Mm.
when you're in creative um, occupation. You feel jealous of someone's work,
I think
but
that can
yeah.
be a good thing as well. In a sense, you can harness that jealousy to say, okay, that's what I want to be like. So what are the steps I can do to get there?
Mm. Absolutely. I mean, you can use that as a drive.
Yeah.
That's why I asked Danny to be my co-mentor as well, because she always makes me feel like I need to up my game. And I'm sure you agree that if you feel like you made it, that's the end of your
Oh
creative
yeah.
life.
Yeah. Game over.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Because you're not growing anymore. You're
Mm,
gonna start stagnating at that stage.
mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Arrogance and creative flow stops, and that's the end of your life. Creative life, at least.
Yeah. So I'm like curious about the success around these collaborations. What is the sort of attitude you bring to collaboration? What can you do to ensure that each collaboration is a success?
I think it's respect to one another, respect of skills, and also I guess in a way, boundary, because if you bring different skill sets, there won't be much overlap. Because when overlap happens, friction happens, I guess. So I never work with anyone who has got like similar or completely same skill set, because there's no point.
Mm.
Um, but if you work with someone you respect and love their work, I think there's natural, you naturally produce great work. And successful collaboration always looks like um, 1+1 is more than two, more than 300.
Like from what I'm hearing, it's respect for each other, knowing that you're both excellent in your field,
Mm,
to ensuring that you're in parallel fields so that you're bringing two skill sets together to produce something new. And three, I think, was the curiosity you showed around, the other person's expertise and digging
mm,
into it so that then you can both bring together the best piece uh,
yeah.
that's formed from that relationship.
Yeah, curiosity definitely. Always, I'm always keen to learn from other person. Um, yeah, I mean, learning about science with Dr. Tara's work was really amazing. I learned a lot about neuroplasticity, for example. I can't say it. Neuroplasticity is this amazing brain's function that you can always learn and change, rather than the popular belief that you have to have like formal training or something is fixed by the age of 3, 5, 9, 11, or whatever. That's not true at all. You can always learn something new, always learn new skills, always learn to be something else. And that's a really optimistic idea in our life, that we can be anything at even the age of 100.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's
Mm.
so important to remember that it's
Yeah,
that growth mentality that,
yeah.
no matter what, you're not the old dog. You can learn new
Yeah,
tricks,
yeah,
as you
yes.
grow and evolve. So I think that's so important. Speaking of new tricks, you have delved into NFTs, which has
Mhm.
been like controversial for some, a lot of people holding back, some people diving
Mm.
in. So, as an early adopter, tell me a little bit
Mm.
about that journey. What's your experience been like? What are the advantages and disadvantages of
Sure.
NFTs?
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was hesitant for a while because of the environmental effect. But then I came across this NFT residency on a platform called Voice, and they are carbon neutral, and also they encourage the sport artists from underrepresented background, and I just loved, really, their ethos resonated with me. And the reason I applied for that residency is because I didn't know what the hell I was doing when it comes to NFT. So I thought, okay, I'll get this NFT residency and learn from them as much as possible.
Yeah.
And they were so lovely, and really supportive. And but what was the most amazing about NFT residency is the support and bond with other residents, artists really all over the world, and we supported one another. In terms of, so it was a great experience, but in terms of sales, I did sold some. I did okay. But what I learned is in order to sell, you have to promote a lot. That means you practically have to live in Twitter and Discord
Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, because when I tested it out, I found that you had to basically, all the years of building up your brand outside of the NFT world is worthless. You have to like almost restart from scratch, unless
Yeah.
you're at such a high level in the world that
Mm.
your work is like renowned anyway. So people
Yeah.
are like, okay, I'll just buy it because he is
Yeah.
famous.
Yeah. Unless
For,
you're Damien Hirst. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it's like, and the amount of like talks on like spaces and clubhouse and then
Mm.
setting up discord is not, for me personally, not worth the
Mm.
effort in
Mm.
conjunction with the results.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So I'm not, I haven't given up, but
Mm.
it's just one branch of what I do. Yeah.
I do like one aspect of the NFT, which is the
Mm.
idea of certification
Mm.
of the artwork and the idea of royalty on your art, because
Mm.
I think that's one thing that is a problem that needs to be solved, where you might produce an art piece and then it gets sold for amount and then it keeps getting resold and you're no longer a
Mm.
part of that, even though you produced it. So I think that
Mm.
is a great aspect. I
Mm.
think if we can find more ways of incorporating that into the industry, that would be fantastic.
I'm sure we'll find the way around
Yeah.
somehow. Better way. Always better way. I'm optimistic.
Well, speaking of other optimistic things, what are your thoughts on AI and making life easier? AI art. Do you think this is a good move, or what are your thoughts around it?
Yeah, great topic of the time. I feel positive about it. But like anything, any tool, I was thinking about this. Like we've done this historically,
Mm,
like radio, TV, internet.
yeah,
Is it bad? Good?
yeah.
Um, it depends on who you use it and how. And AI is incredibly helpful. Um, I've had several conversation with ChatGPT recently, and but I think what you have to bear in mind is that at the end of the day, it doesn't know good good from bad, and it's just scraping good information very efficiently from the internet. So you have to take all the information it's scraping with a pinch of salt.
Mm,
Always always do your research, and it can spread really bad information very quickly as well. So that's the downside of AI. Yeah, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and some people might argue that knife always there to kill someone, but AI is like having a machine gun. So it can't. You can't really say that it's the same
mm,
anymore. So
yeah.
it's so it's a powerful tool either way. But even like I was thinking, food can be good or bad for us.
Mm,
Food can be incredibly nutritious, but it can, if you eat badly, it can cause cancer and clog your artery or blood vessel or whatever. So yeah, it's down to the user. I would say. I'm positive.
yeah. I think that's an important point, that the responsibility has to be in each individual user, and they have to take responsibility for their actions,
Mm,
knowing how they can use the tool. My only real concerns are around copyright issues at the moment,
mm,
and the ethical dilemma around that. I think using it as a tool to ideate is great, but
mm,
creating or using that taking an AI produced artwork and claiming it as your own,
mm.
this is where I think things need to still be worked out,
Yeah.
from a legal standpoint,
Mm,
for artists, for writers whose work might be pilfered or proof, yeah, uh,
mm,
work might be taken for granted, and then they're
mhm,
losing out on their work, or might reflect badly on their art.
mm.
And so
Yeah.
I think that's the only real concern. But again, this is early days. And just like when digital art came about, right?
Mm.
Everybody was up in arms. Oh, that's not real
Yeah.
art,
Yeah. Yeah.
unless you're doing it with a paintbrush. It's
Mm.
not real. And then like 10 years later, it's industry standard because you can make changes in
Yeah.
such a rapid pace. And,
Yeah.
it
True.
takes just as much effort to do it. But,
Mm.
it has its advantages and disadvantages. And we
Yeah.
have to know how to use that tool.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
So, speaking of the future, what is your hope for the future? What are you hoping to do next? What is driving you forward?
I have some more collaboration bubbling up, but yeah, what I want to do is basically what I want to do is spread optimism in any shape or form. So I'm definitely up for big murals. Yeah, one mural is popping up in San Francisco soon, so
Ooh.
that'll be really cool. My Domestica course is going to be released at some point this year. I don't know when yet. But I'm also keen to collaborate with brands. Yeah, cosmetics brand. It'd be
Oh,
lovely.
interesting.
Fashion brand, because these are the things that that can be really empowering.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm really keen to spread optimism in that way and empower as many as people possible,
I'm,
happening on
I'm
my end as
curious
well.
just around
Yeah.
that,
Mhm.
and around your approach to optimism. How much of
Mm.
your multicultural background plays into the production of your work? Because being Japanese primarily, or growing up there, but
Mm.
living in London, there's a lot
Mm.
of different cultural nuances around you, and how much of Japan
Yeah.
influences your art, how much of London does. Is there a symbiosis of sorts,
Yeah,
or?
yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah, I often use Japanese ethos in my work, but I think visually it's because I studied graphic design in London. I think visually it's quite contemporary.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, for example, my manhole collection is inspired by Japanese kimono artisans' philosophy, because in the 17th century, um, kimono artisan found inspiration in mundane things like fish scales or cherry blossoms, waves, but they distilled them into beautiful, minimal patterns.
Mm.
So I took that philosophy into 21st century London and found manhole covers, which is another, everyday objects. And I thought I can just remix these things um, in a kind of ready-made way, I guess, and create something contemporary and fun, and spread the idea that you can get inspiration from every day. Yeah, so I guess that's how I combine these two cultures or multiple cultures together.
I I think that's such an interesting point you made there, in the fact that, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Like, I
No,
think a lot of artists struggle with this idea of authenticity, uh,
mm,
and the need to produce something completely new. But a
there's
lot
no
of the
such thing.
times, yeah, there's no such thing. Yeah, you have to. The elements around you are always influencing you, and then it's a question of how you remix it with
Yeah.
your personality, with your outlook on the world.
Yeah, I wouldn't be afraid of being inspired by someone or something or movement. It's completely different from plagiarism, and if you create it, it's going to be yours anyway. So just take in. No, sorry, no great output doesn't happen with great input. So
Hmm.
take in.
So, speaking of great output, what is one piece of advice you would give the next generation? Or if you have more than one, share more than one.
Oh, that's a good one. I think, success is there's enough place for everyone's success. It's one, and another one is know your strength. This is what I've been taught by my tutor back in the day,
Hmm.
um, and that was really helpful because I I didn't think of my strengths and wasn't thinking of focusing on or niching down. But once I kind of realized that color and shapes is my strength, I think my work got much better. Yeah, so everyone has a strength. So find that and sharpen it.
That's very good. Very good. And one last question is, what
Mhm.
does the word fruitful mean to you?
The word fruitful means um, making this world optimistic place and make everyone happy or at least give them optimism so that as a society we can be happier and optimistic and have hope to get ourselves into a better place.
Wow. That's such a great interpretation of fruitful. And I look forward to seeing all the optimistic work that you're going to produce. Thank you so much for joining me on today's show. And hey, thank you for listening to this episode of The Fruitful Life. I hope you walk away with some nuggets of wisdom from June. And if you did, please do me a favor and leave a rating and a comment to tell me what you think of the show. Also, consider telling a friend that might like it. As always, be true, be you, stay fruitful.